Hello, welcome back to another stream. Today we're going to be continuing to explore missiles and how powerful missiles are, particularly in that early to mid game, but we've also seen they're very relevant in the later game as well, although there are some more counters as you get into the XL weapons and more advanced weapons to counter them. But the early game and the mid game is the most critical, because that's when you're building your empire, conquering other AIs or fending them off and trying to establish your economic base. So that's when you want to have the greatest advantage in fleet power and to be the most efficient with your fleet power and resources. So I've had a number of comments from people asking me to test torpedoes and also strike craft, because we've seen how powerful those weapons are with some of the meta ship build designs, and they are very powerful. So we're going to test missiles versus torpedoes. And what we've got in these fleets, we've got the missile cruisers we've been using, the swarm of missiles, tier 4 missiles, mix of shields and more armor, afterburners, artillery combat computers. We do have our range leader on. The policies are set for rapid redeployment. So we get the sublight speed and weapon range. And we've also got all our edicts on as well, just to provide extra damage for both fleets. This fleet also has the range admiral, so that there's no bias. This cruiser is a early torpedo cruiser fleet, so we do have to close within range for our torpedoes to be useful. I have put tier 4 missiles on here just so the fight's relatively even. You may not be able to reach tier 4 missiles if you're not going down a missile build completely. You may not have tier 4 missiles, you might only have level 2 missiles. So if you want to do a torpedo build to try and counter missiles, you have to really focus on it. So it's a torpedo missile build to counter our missile build. Same mix of armor, shields. I've also got afterburners so that we can try and close that distance. I have put torpedo computers on so that we can get in close and do extra damage, hopefully. And everything else is relatively the same. Okay. Let's see how this battle goes.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
The missiles have opened up. They're already kiting away. They're trying to close them in torpedo range, firing off some missiles. You can already see they're struggling to get in the range. Now they're kiting after these couple of ships. They are taking some losses, relatively even, but you can see the firepower. They're just retreating. Not much losses on each, which you expect with cruisers fighting cruisers. It looks like the missiles have this one. Let's just have a quick look at the damage before the battle ends. Yeah, you can see the swarm of missiles are just getting through the hull. Those torpedoes are just not doing enough damage. They just can't get into the range, even when you match the fleets with the afterburners equal. Yeah, well, both sides have got quantum missiles. So the torpedoes are struggling to get through the armor still. I think that's the retreated. Is that the retreated fleet? No, not yet. There we go. Okay, so we've lost 3 ships there. Let's have a look at the losses overall. So the missile fleet lost 3, and the cruiser fleet lost 4. So you don't have really high losses when you've sort of got cruiser versus cruiser in this type of battle, because the fleets are relatively defensively even. But in my opinion, you're not going to have similar defenses if you're devoting technology. For example, if you're going into lasers and plasmas and kinetic, that's a lot of extra technology you're spending than someone who's just going to focus on missiles. So their shields, armor tech, combat computers, speed, all that is likely to be more advanced. So the other fleets are likely to be finding a disadvantage. Doing a missile torpedo build is not too hard because you're focusing on the same sort of technologies. But you can still see here that fleet lost. Although they haven't lost many ships, they've still lost the battle. And now this fleet gets the advantage to press on. And you might have multiples of these fleets. You might, in an early game, you might have good players can have 25k of cruisers. So they might have another one of these fleets, or nearly another one of these fleets again by year 30, year 35. Okay, so let's do another test. Okay, for this test we've got fleets which are a little bit more mid-game. So the opposing fleet for this fight has Proton launchers to give us that extra range, that extra firepower. It should give us the multiplicative damage against cruisers. Although we've still got to get through the shields, but we should still be able to inflict a lot of damage. Also got a lot of missiles, so that should help as well. Still got the same afterburners. We've got a more advanced combat computer with artillery, so we'll be staying at range. So we'll also be trying to kite and use the proton launchers to attack the other missile fleet. Also has the range admiral. We've got the same edicts and everything on, same policies, that hasn't changed. So same admiral. This time we've got tier 2 whirlwind missiles to simulate higher tech because they've got proton launchers, so we've got level 2 whirlwind missiles. Same tier 4 missiles there. Same armor and shields, I haven't changed that. Same afterburners, and just updated the combat computer to match the other fleet as well, artillery. Everything else is the same. So this fleet has a higher firepower simply because the whirlwind missiles calculate a higher amount of damage. Whereas this one has the protons, which also do a lot of damage, but it's deceptive because the fleet powers don't include the multiplicative damage from torpedoes in their firepower. So you'll always see that fleets using torpedoes will always have a reduced firepower output compared to other fleets. So let's see who will win this one.
Hostile fleet assets engage.
Proton launchers, missiles. No ships destroyed, or there's one. See, there just wasn't enough proton launchers to get through all the shields by the look of it. See their armor, look at the armor and hull going down. Whereas our shields are holding, armor's holding. You see the difference in the firepower. Let's just look at the damage here. Why is it so one-sided? So to consider whirlwind missiles, look at that. Even the proton launchers with their multiplicative damage, 174% efficiency just isn't enough. Whirlwind missiles, look at that. Damage to armor, huge. Proton launchers are third. They're just not getting through the shields enough, so 50% efficiency rate there, and that's the problem. These missiles are going through the shields. And you just don't have enough slots because you can't put long-range kinetic weapons with this fleet. Maybe you could argue you could have two fleets, one kinetic fleet, long-range kinetic to hammer the shields down, and one fleet for the torpedoes and missiles, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. This is a very big disadvantage. And then if you have two fleets of missile cruisers or another, you can have another fleet here to counter the other fleet. There's so many variables. Okay, so we lost one missile cruiser. They lost 3. So once again, we're not seeing many combat losses, but you're easily winning the fight. So you'd have to be able to press that advantage and try and hit their heavily damaged fleets again and just get on the offensive. So we've seen that the torpedoes, even with more advanced tech, I actually thought the torpedoes would be more effective, at least do a lot more damage, but they're just not getting through the shields, and that's the problem. Do damage to the armors. You can see the shields are still about 50%. Armor's gone down a little bit, hull a little bit. So it's pretty clear victory there. It's just these Marauder missiles. They're just getting through everything, doing lots of damage, constantly hitting. Accuracy 100%. Relatively quick cooldown too, 4.25. So it's quite rapid fire as well when you compare it to the Proton launchers. And that's another disadvantage. They've got quite a long reload time. If we have a look at the technologies, let's just go down. Cruisers, Devastators. Let's just have a look. So 21.25 cooldown. So we're firing, 4.5 times for every proton or neutron launcher. Well, that's a neutron. What's a proton? About the same, is it? Yeah, it's the same. So yeah, we're firing the same. We're firing 4.5 rounds of Marauder missiles for every proton launcher. So that's the issue. So they just can't fire rapidly enough to get through the shields. Once they're through the shields, they'll obliterate the armor really, really quickly, but it doesn't work. And we've tried these previously. They just can't get in the range quick enough and do the damage because of the speed of the other fleet. Even if you match the afterburners the same, the other fleet can still keep enough distance and keep pounding away with those missiles. And once again, the cooldown will become a problem there as well. Alright, so we've tried out various torpedoes. We've tried out more advanced torpedoes with the Proton launchers as well. And neither have been effective at winning the battles. Not many losses, but they're not winning the battles, which is the key. You're going to lose your systems, you're going to lose your planets. They're going to press the advantage. Good players will press the advantage and try and quickly get to your fleet wherever it's retreated to, and then hit it again, and then you're going to start taking real losses. All right, let's look at the next battle. Okay, so for this fight, we've got our same missile cruisers we had in the first battle. This is an earlier tech fight. So we've got Tier 1 swarmer missiles, quantum missiles, shields armor, afterburners, artillery combat computers, same range admiral, we've got the same edicts on, same policies. Now for this fight, we've got our strike craft, our carrier cruisers. They've also got Marauder missiles. They've also got some antimatter missiles. Now I've done Tier 3 to simulate that. We're researching multiple technologies, so we're probably not going to get to Tier 4 to simulate that because we're doing strike craft as well. We've got the afterburners to try and keep the distance so we can keep in missile range. Hopefully fire off some missiles. Hopefully our strike craft can do a fair bit of damage. And this fleet also has the range admirals to keep it fair. Okay, let's see how this goes. See if the strike craft and carriers can do any better.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
We do have point defenses too on the carriers, so that should certainly help with the amount of damage being dished out. You can see all the point defenses firing. Strike craft are getting into the missile cruisers now. It's pretty even. Okay, we are losing more ships there now. We're still, we are still going nearly ship for ship. They are losing a few more now. Let's just have a look at the damage. The swarmer missiles are still doing a lot. Strike craft not getting too much through the hull yet. Yeah, look at the swarmer missiles. Damage to armor. Just huge. So you can see here, with a slight advantage in the hull damage, maybe a slight advantage in armor. Both sides are going straight through the shields because it's mostly missiles and strike craft. So, and you can see that in the damage. This is not a shield fight. So we're just forcing more ships to retreat because we're the swarm of missiles are getting through to the hull. You can see that here. That's the difference in the firepower. That's not much. There's not much in it. Although we have lost one more ship actually destroyed. It's because the strike craft are good at actually killing ships because of the changes in the disengagement chance. That's where strike craft are effective. Oh, it's very close. Did the strike craft win this one? Oh, we're ship for ship. Huh. Hey. The carriers won that one. Just. Which is funny because I've run this battle a few times and the carriers lost it every time. Okay, so you can see we've lost 6 missile cruisers. And the carrier cruisers only lost 3. So in terms of efficiency, the strike craft carriers are doing very good. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to replay that battle again because in multiple battles before, the carriers lost every one, although it was quite close like these battles. So let's give this another go. Okay, so we've got the battle set up again. We've got our carriers again, and we've got our missile cruiser fleet. So let's have another go and let's see if the result is the same or not.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
They're losing a few more ships early, but now the strike craft are starting to get through. See the firepower dropping on both sides. Alright, let's just check the battle. Swarm of missiles doing good again. Early. Yeah, it's basically the same. Funny thing is, I'm not seeing any stats there from the point defenses. We've seen the point defenses. You see the point defenses are firing. Once again, they're 17-17 now. There's a firepower difference there. So once again, it's closing late again as it did last game, or last battle. It looks like the missile cruisers will win this one. So you can see there's a little bit of RNG in this fight because they are quite close. Looks like we've got a few more combat losses as well, and that's the retreated fleet. So we lost again 6 missile cruisers, and they lost 6 carrier cruisers, so a bit more losses on this time. So you can see how RNG affects those close battles a little bit, and you can replay this probably 50 times and you'd probably get maybe a 50-50 split maybe, or maybe it might favour the missiles. In my battles it favoured the missiles pretty much 2-1 that I did my test prior to this video. But that's probably about the only effective counter that I've found so far in the early game, and well, it's not really that effective. I guess it's a way to block an enemy using lots of missiles against you, because you do have the let's bring up the ship design. Just gotta find it. Got so many ship designs now. Where is it? There it is. Because you've got the point defenses, strike craft, missiles, and missiles. So you're sort of combating their missiles with your missiles. Plus you've got strike craft. Plus you've got point defenses to try and whittle away some of their defenses. But they weren't, well, I couldn't see if they were very effective. The stats were not showing for some reason. So we can see that the strike craft are effective at combating the missile cruisers. Although the missile cruisers still won this battle. Combat losses are not high. You can still see we've suffered a lot of, well, that fleet's less than 50% hull strength, so we've got more hull strength here. You'd be pretty risky to press the attack. You're going to lose a lot of ships. So probably in this circumstance, if you're using cruisers with carriers, strike craft, you probably want to have another type of ship with you to screen them and take some of those missile hits. And same with the missile cruisers, you probably want to screen as well. Something probably that I would opt for would probably be disruptor corvettes. I think that'd be pretty powerful. Put in 40 of them, go in there, and they would probably finish off that carrier fleet pretty quickly, and vice versa. That would help the strike craft complement each other very well, the disruptors, because they go straight through the shields and armor. So that'd work really well. So I think that answers some of the questions from some of the comments that people have been making. And it's good to see that there is a possible early counter for missiles, but it's a big maybe. It's RNG here, and you need everything pretty much going right for you to be able to counter it. And it depends what other fleets they bring, because most people are probably going to have a mix. There's probably going to be cruisers, and you might have some destroyers in there, or corvettes. And personally, I'd probably opt with corvettes, to be honest. Cruisers and corvettes. Simply because they're cheap to replace, and if the enemy's got frigates or destroyers, corvettes with disruptors are going to make that life really hard. So if you like this video, hit that like button. If you've got some ideas and comments, send me some comments and some other ideas. But I think we can clearly see that the early game dominance of missiles is pretty good. It's a really good investment. Plus, if you're playing a strong build, you're going to get a greater tech advantage by not focusing on all these other weapons, technologies that you probably don't need to much later in the game, and you're going to have an even greater advantage. You can focus more on the economy and industry and turn that into even larger advantage of being able to outproduce your opponents as well, or maybe focus on other techs to out-tech them. So I think, and I'm going to do, I'm probably going to do an updated necrophage run in the near future, trying to show that how strong the build can be with missiles, with focusing on tech and then focusing on other areas, being really narrow focused on specific areas of your tech to get an even bigger advantage, particularly in that first 30-40 years. All right, I'll end the stream here. So hit that like button for me, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.